Hi there. So today it's my pleasure to be speaking to the Michele Walsh, who is a spiritual success coach and serial entrepreneur. I knew I wouldn't get that right, Michele, who next week is running a 3-day challenge, Believe, which is to help business owners shift their mindset, build confidence and earn more money. So thank you very much for joining me today, Michele.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Excited.
Always a pleasure. So can you tell us a little bit more about the challenge you've got next week, and most importantly, what people can expect to benefit if they decide to exchange their valuable time to join you in the challenge?
Yeah. So next week, what I know is I've been a coach for 14 years. I've been in business all my life. What I see over and over again is super talented women in business who just don't believe in themselves. Their level of confidence doesn't match the results they get for their clients. And that results in them not charging enough, them not attracting the income they want, and it makes life and business stressful. So I had an idea, literally just the word believe came to me, and it's taking people on a 3-day journey to allow them to start believing in themselves. Because when we believe in ourselves, we feel more confident. We're more confident showing up in our business. We're more confident putting offers out there, speaking to our prospects, ideal clients. And it's an energy. People feel it. And it literally sends a ripple effect out. I'm all for less is more. I was not put on this earth to work hard, long hours. I like doing short, sharp bursts where I make the most impact. And literally, I want to help people own their own power. You know, everything is within. It's not like you've got to go out and get something outside of you. It's actually already in there, but it's probably just buried amongst layers of limiting beliefs and stories we've told ourselves. I mean, honestly, if I had £1 for every limiting story my clients tell themselves based on no truth whatsoever, then I'd be a multi-millionaire for sure.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because I'd experienced the other morning. So I woke up feeling a bit deflated, and I always say belief is the most powerful force in the universe, because when you believe something, stronger than love, stronger than spite, stronger than envy, belief. So I woke up and I was a bit deflated, and then I had an email from a lady that I met last year, just out the blue, to want to do a little bit of work with. And within 10 minutes, I'd gone from deflation to I can take on the world. And the difference was somebody had reached out to me, but really nothing had changed. I was still sat in my living room. I was still drinking the same cup of tea, but just that belief, the day was completely different. I got more done, and because I believed in myself. And when people meet me, they generally think I'm quite confident, but I am confident in some areas, but in a lot of areas, I just don't have that belief like you were talking about. And you kind of beat yourself up, because you think, well, how can I be confident in this area and not confident in that area? So you think it's just you. And then when I started speaking to you, I realized, oh, we're all in the same boat, really.
Yeah, and isn't that so comforting to know? I mean, honestly, I've always appeared confident, but I would say it's only been in the last 10 years that my inner confidence has actually aligned with everything outside of me. There are so many times in my life when I had to fake it, and it was quite misleading, because inside I was either crushed or bricking it, thinking, oh, almost literally the other side of belief is the imposter syndrome of thinking, oh, I'm going to be found out. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, because I think most people have had an experience either growing up or at school with parents or teachers, not intentionally, that has knocked their confidence, which has knocked their belief in what they can achieve, or thinking they've done well, or it's not been acknowledged, or a teacher's said one thing and it's like created a framework of belief.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't want to take too much time, but I'll share a story about a teacher another time with you.
Yeah, we've all got one.
Yeah, and it's daft, isn't it? I always think if I could have lived my life without having to go to school, I would have probably got a lot further than what I am now. However, that was my life and I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, it was how it was meant to be.
yes, I'm not for regrets and that. I'm up for, the only way's forward, isn't it?
And it's interesting you said about beliefs, because my daily mantra is you can only attract, manifest, make something happen that you believe will happen. So if you believe that you're going to get inquiries out of nowhere, or people are going to reach out to you, then you will. And if you believe it's difficult to find clients, the universe, or whatever it is that you believe in, sends you the things that match what you believe.
See, it's so powerful, that, and I believe it, but I suppose there's still a little bit of my brain that's got a little bit of skepticism, where you think, oh, because I suppose people say, oh, well, you can't just write stuff and then the universe will give you that. And you say, well, no, that's true. You've got to do something. You can't just believe I'm going to become whatever tomorrow.
Yeah, you believe that you're going to sit there and that, like, no, I mean, we have to do our part in creating our life, manifesting it, whatever it is, attracting it. But you think about simple things in your life. And I always use this as a benchmark. You see, I've got this thing that I always manifest a parking space, always. And it's always as close to the door as I want it to be. Even in the middle of London, in the middle of busy places, it's what I believe to be true. And my husband's a skeptic, and he's like, you know what, one of these times it's not going to happen. I'm like, no. So I'll take it easy. I don't get, oh gosh, I hope it happens, or I hope there is one. It's a non-negotiable. And literally the times that we've driven around, and as we're approaching somewhere that's busy, where it's packed, and somebody's driven out and I've just driven in, and people look at me as if to say, how did you make that happen? And I didn't make it happen. It's what I believe to be true for me. Yeah.
It's, I always think, what do they call it? Confirmation bias, where you're looking for a green car and you see a green car. And we were watching something on the Sydney Opera House the other day. We went to Sydney and it had a massive effect. We just loved the Opera House. We had a tour and it was such a moving story. So the other day we were watching a documentary, because we can't afford to go to Australia. Let's watch a documentary on it. So we watched this documentary, and then later on, I had to pause the TV, and I was watching something on catch up. I went onto the TV guide, and there on QI was Sandy Toksvig talking about the Sydney Opera House and how it was built. And I went, oh my God, can you believe this? That we've just been watching this documentary. You turn the telly on and you see exactly the same thing. And these things happen all the time. So you think, what if you could actually manifest that to happen? It's not just coincidence.
Well, do you know, when you said we can't afford to go, I would put a caveat onto that and say, we want to be able to afford to go. So we know you can't right now, because all the language we're using is sending a direct message to the universe. And the universe will give us what we say we want. The thing is, a lot of this stuff is going on and we don't even realize we're saying it, thinking it, feeling it.
Yes.
It's programmed in. We're programmed, a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us have got a propensity to see what we've not got, what we're not going to get, what we can't do, instead of flipping that round. And I always used to say this to my clients: if there's something you want that you don't yet have the money for, the words are, it's not in my budget right now, but it's coming.
Brilliant.
See, and that's like, you just believe then that you'll find a way, because you could inherit money, you could win something, you could win a holiday, anything could happen.
Well, this is it. But even me, who is kind of optimistic, I'm like everybody. I'm optimistic, but I've got that pessimistic side. But even I will be optimistic, and I don't know that I'm using the wrong language, really. So even though I might be thinking optimistically, I'm not using the right language to bring it.
Well, yeah. And it's interesting you should say that, because my default is there is absolutely no room, even in when things happen that are seemingly negative. I expect the best. I expect a positive outcome every single time. And trust me, I literally went from boss to broke overnight with 100K's worth of debt. So I know what it's like for things to go tits up and just all go wrong. It's not like I've been, I've been very, very rich several times in my life, but I've also been broke. But even in the moments of being broke, there's never any room or space for considering not the best outcome. It just doesn't even feature in my world.
Some people turn around and say, well, it's okay for you. You can be happy because you've got this success. Do you know, everybody will, yes, but it's kind of, yes, it's hardest to get up and do it when life is the hardest, isn't it?
Like I said, I'd been financially successful all my life until 15 years ago. I was in a business I hated, and it was the financial crash. And I if I hadn't have walked away from the business, I'd have had a breakdown. I know that for sure. And I walked away from a business that I'd had for almost 20 years, right. 50 staff, and I put it into liquidation because I could not go on a moment longer. And literally, I drove to the Dole office in a £70,000 car because the finance company hadn't caught up yet and picked it up. So, and I remember walking in thinking, it was like an out-of-body experience, thinking, holy moly, one day I'm a director of a company, the next day I'm broke with all this personal liability that I'd created. So totally self-inflicted. It wasn't like I blame anybody else. Yes. I'd created this. So for anybody that I work with or know or speak to, it's like, we've had horrendous tragic death in our family. We've had serious illnesses. I've been broke, financially broke. So there aren't many circumstances that I've not personally experienced for myself. And I always say this, when you reach rock bottom, it's a great place to be because there's only one way to go, and that's up.
I really agree with that. It's just I'm unfortunate that I have to get to rock bottom and then I can go back up again. But, with work and that, I am sort of keeping the positive side of me.
Yeah.
Kind of going in that. So,
and there is I think it's a myth that all businesses, go from success to success. There are dips and troughs.
Yes.
And they're responding to how we feel, what we believe, all this different thing. I always say this, our self-worth is equivalent to our net worth, because what we believe we can achieve, what we believe we can charge, what we believe we're worthy of receiving is it's an expectation. So where we're at right now, good, bad, or indifferent, broke or, wealthy,
yeah,
is a reflection of everything we've thought up to this point. So if you're not where you want to be in your bank balance, in your life, in your business, in the amount of clients you got, you can change it, start changing it from this moment by consistently thinking better feeling thoughts consistently. And the thing is, we don't dedicate as much time and energy to thinking positively as we do negatively.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like we've got this, it's like we gift ourselves this positivity every now and again. And then we revert back to I call it like old operating software. It's software that's been ground in, that's been anchored in from a child of what we expect, what we can expect, what we can and can't do. And that's whirring away in the background of our lives. So that's why it seems hard work, because we seem to be doing all the stuff and nothing's changing. And that's very frustrating.
Yes, definitely. And that, let's say somebody like myself who thinks like I am doing the right things, but actually it's
so why isn't it happening?
Yeah, exactly. And then you think it's you. And then I always say my spirit animal should be a hedgehog, because I just go into a ball and I know I can do it, but it's just, I always think the angel and the demon, I know I can do it. And then this one's going, no, you can't, so.
You can't. This is a great, like you said, we don't want to make this too long, but that's about the ego. The ego wants to keep us safe. And the minute we decide to step out of our comfort zone, it's like the alerts go off, like the alarm bells go and go, work. You know, it's like, oh, scary situation. There must be something going wrong. But it's recognizing it's because you're choosing to do something different that's out of your comfort zone that's causing your alarm bells to go off, because it thinks all of a sudden you're unsafe.
Right.
Because you're daring to think, feel, and do something different. And that's why we have a burst of success and then we just go backwards. It's like I call it the bungee effect. You know, and it's like you're running along. If you've got a bungee around you and you're running along and you can see the finish point and you just get almost to reaching it, and then you're pinged right back, and you're like, oh, what's happening? How much more can I take of this?
Well, do you know, I think, how often did I give up when I was that close? I did all the hard work, and then something inside me, the ego, went just at the last minute, went, you can't do this. Change my mind, do it again. And then you feel bad.
But you see, that's like a story. And if you have an internal conversation that goes, I absolutely can. I mean, honestly, other people's doubt about my ability has the thing that's been fueling me. I've not had a very supportive family, and or a lot of friends are, but I've had some friends that aren't as supportive. But they've been the fire in my belly, because I'm like, well, I'm going to show you. Because actually, when I went from boss to broke, we went to a family celebration, and my cousin, female cousin, said to me, what's it like now you're broke like the rest of us? And I just went, don't worry, I'm not stopping. I was like, and that gave me, I'm like, oh, just you wait. So even on my down days, I'm like, no way.
Yes.
I am not stopping. Because also, it took me all these years to find something that I'm just so passionate about. My passion is to give women financial freedom and know they can create whatever they decide they want to create. And it's empowering for them and for me to be the facilitator of that in them. You know, I don't do the work. The power and the energy and all of it is inside. It's just I help release the layers that are keeping people stuck, you know.
So how did you go from boss to broke to
and then back? Yeah. Well, the interesting fact is I've been in business all my life since 18. Started as a dance and aerobics teacher, then went to create a computer company. I mean, no synergy whatsoever. With my ex-husband. Well, he was a husband at the time, and then we ended up with a successful business, but an unsuccessful marriage. And then when I let go of the business, I literally was in a wilderness of thinking, I've got no idea what I'm going to do. But what I did, I had to get lots of temp jobs, just anything to pay the bills. And I just, you know, I think if we take action in the direction of change, things pop up that guide us to where we're meant to be. And I went on a free coaching weekend. I didn't even know what coaching was. I'd never heard of it. And when I went on this weekend, because it was free, I got no money, so that was a draw. I'll go, it's free. And when I went on this weekend, I thought, oh my goodness, I suddenly realized it was a natural ability in me. So in my dance days, I used to teach children and adults aerobics once a week. I used to bring out the best in them. I used to make them believe in themselves and feel confident. Then when we ran the computer company, we were all women, all except for my husband, ex-husband. And the same thing there. I used to just encourage them to be the best, do the best they could. And so I got a qualification for something that was a natural ability. And for the first 2 years, massive mistake, I did everything for free to prove that I was good enough.
Yes.
What are we like?
Oh, yeah.
And you know, not one of those clients who came for free became a paying client. Not one. And then that was it. But it's funny because even all those years ago, I recognized that the biggest connection, the biggest thing that was underlying with everybody I worked with was confidence. But here's the big magic. It was when a friend of mine who'd been in business 17 years, we just had a coffee. and she was talking about business, and I was just sharing some of the mindset stuff. And she emailed me and she said, you know, that one mindset tip that you shared with me generated an extra £3,000 in the space of 8 days.
Wow.
And she'd been in business 17 years.
Wow.
And I suddenly realized that your confidence, when you step up and you're confident, it impacts your bank balance.
And
it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and you say that and you think, well, yeah, you think that. So why aren't we all being more confident? Isn't it? You know,
because we've not been taught to be confident. We've not found that inner confidence.
But it's funny, isn't it? We kind of we know something to be true, and when it's explained like that, you think, well, yeah, of course, if you're more confident, you know, you get the power. Like in Scarface, you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. Do you know, it's all about the confidence, isn't it? You know.
But the thing is this, if you're on your own and you go, right, okay, I'm going to be more confident, there's a little voice that says, yeah, but you're not good. You're not as good as that person. You can't do that. What, you think you can do that?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then, like you said, you're the hedgehog. All of a sudden you go back into, or a crab, you go back into your shell and you think, oh, you know, you're just like peeping out every now and again instead of going, no, I'm going with this. And, you know, I know you said that, you know, about sharing one thing that somebody can do to make them start to feel more confident.
Yes.
So confidence is an inside game, but it can be accelerated by external validation. So get all your testimonials, all your messages. Even if you're starting out in business, you will have worked with somebody. Even if you've only got, I mean, I lived off that one testimonial like forever. That's why I know it word for word. I know it word for word. But keep reminding yourself, keep looking, thinking, feeling, measuring the difference you make to your clients. Because when you start believing how good you are at what you're doing, and deep down we know it, but we don't own it.
Yes.
And it's like trying a coat on. You know what? I'm going to keep that coat on a bit longer. And on your down days, have your testimonials, have your screenshots of people going, oh my God, you're amazing. What you've done is fantastic. And you go, I mean, gosh, I have down days. You know, when I'm up leveling in my business, in my life or bank balance, I have those days when I go, this inner voice goes, who do you think you are? Yes. Really? Do you think you can do that? Too right, I can. And then I reinforce that. So confidence is like a muscle. You wouldn't go to the gym once and come out with a six-pack and, you know, guns or whatever they call them. Yeah. So you can't just read your testimonial or your success stories once and expect it's a seed. The seed of confidence is within you. At some stage in your life, somebody has, you know, pulled the seed out, or before it's fully grown. Plant a new seed of confidence and water it, nourish it every single day. If you bought a plant and you didn't water it, it'd shrivel and die.
Yeah.
Same with your confidence. If you don't nourish it, if you don't water it, if you don't feed it, it will die.
I like that, Michelle. I love that analogy, actually, because you've got to, there's no good, like me, I'm confident, like I say, in some areas, not in the other, but I've got to keep nurturing that, and then it will.
Well, because the thing that's got us to be not so confident is because somebody said something at some time that made us feel like we weren't good enough. Yeah. That we've just kept thinking, oh, well, I obviously can't be good, except whatever it is, honestly. And I had this thing. So when I trained as a dancer, I always used to get top marks, but every year at our awards ceremony, I came runner-up. I'm like, not again. Oh. So it seemed like I was working hard, but I never got there.
Yes.
So I had to do a lot of inner work on that, you know, and it's like your garden. You wouldn't expect to weed the garden and never have to do it again. If only. I don't have a garden, by the way, for that reason. But it's the same with thoughts, feelings, beliefs, all that stuff. And that's what we're doing next week in the 3 days. We're doing all this stuff about giving you simple things that you can start to do where you feel different. And even being in the energy of me and the people that are in the group, that's infectious. And things, honestly, the magic we have happen on it's just, people will go, oh my goodness, I've got 5 new clients. I think the best one I had once, I did manifest 5 clients in 5 days. And by the way, it doesn't matter what I call it, it's the same thing. It's just being more confident. And I think one of the ladies in there got 18 clients.
Wow. In 8 days?
In 5 days.
In 5 days.
It was 5 days. The course was called Manifest 5 Clients in 5 days. And the most we got was, and I've got a screenshot of it. It's like, wow. So yeah, if you're thinking, you're not charging enough, if you look at your bank balance and your heart sinks, or you don't look at your bank balance, if you're 1 minute you're rich and the next minute you're poor, come and be there. You'll love it. It's completely free. There's no pressure. Yes, there'll be a program that I'll be selling at the back of it, but you don't have to buy it. Just come and grab the free stuff.
Free is always good. So is there anybody in particular? Is this for any business owner who's ever had anybody say, you can't do it, is it? Well,
the irony is this, yes, it's any business owner that's female or identifies as female.
Okay.
And the reason for this is because a lot of the work I do is based on how you feel. Now, I love men to bits, been married several times, but men aren't very good at tuning into their feelings.
No.
And it was when I coached a guy and said, how does that make you feel? And I thought, is he still there? It was like 5 minutes later. I thought, how deep is he digging for a feeling? But yeah, any female. And it's really interesting because I've worked with coaches, consultants, trainers, therapists, healers, leaders in business, anybody that knows, whether you're employed or self-employed, actually, it doesn't matter, who knows that you're not owning, that you don't feel like you've got the same level of confidence for the expertise that you have.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Marry the two up. Yeah. So you start to feel as confident as the expert that you actually are.
Brilliant. So how do people sign up?
So there is a link. I will share the link with you.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. I'll share the link.
Comment.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of blurb about what to expect, but I would say this: expect the unexpected, because I'm not as great as articulating what I do as actually doing it. But also there'll be loads of testimonials on there of people that have been to my free events. So I've been doing these now for over 10 years, and they're always magical. And my aim is to get 100 women shifting to a line and feeling amazing and start owning their expertise.
That's a brilliant goal to have, because if I can be one of those women. So I have signed up, so I'm really looking forward to getting started.
You'll love it.
And tonight I'm going to go through my testimonials. I haven't got loads, but I tell you what I have got. I've got a couple of feedbacks from work when I used to work in the bank. I've got some nice comments on a couple of YouTube videos, and that's some eBay feedback. So I suppose it doesn't have to be conventional, just a testimonial. It could be anything from
over all your life. It can be from whenever, because, okay, so that testimonial I had was from probably about 12 years ago, but I still did the work. I still enabled that to happen. And it doesn't matter, even if it was in a previous business, you've still helped somebody feel better about themselves and change their lives.
And it still counts towards growing your confidence every day, seeing what other people have said about you to remind yourself that we can do it.
Yeah, because I bet if you look back, there's probably 1 or 2 people in your lifetime that have said not so great things about you, and yet like a zillion people that have said even verbally to you how amazing you are, and yet we hang on to the 2 things that happened.
Yes.
How crazy are we?
Yeah, it is crazy. We are crazy. So anything I can help with this, brilliant. So really looking forward to it. So I could probably talk to you for hours, Michele. So
I know. But this is the other thing. There will be recorded trainings that even if you can't make it live, then there will be recordings. Plus, I'm going to be doing loads of Q&A, so people can hop on and ask me any question they like about where they're at, where they're wanting to go. I'm there to empower everybody to feel unstoppable in their confidence.
Brilliant. Right. Really looking forward to it then. Lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lovely to speak to you. See you next week.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.